time to be scummy once again. What's up, everybody? Back by unpopular demand. It's my every 3 months I like to update my Evilswarm deck. Most of the deck has remained the same, just a couple minor tweaks. The side has changed a little bit as well. Not too much drastic things, but it's been enough to be annoying against my friends and stuff, so just thought I'd do a little update for you guys. So let's get right into it. Starting with our monsters. Monsters has not changed in the deck at all. We still have our 3 Rescue Rabbit with our 3 Heliotrope. Obviously, if it doesn't get Ash, this will get you an instant Ophion, and it's just really nice to have. Of course, the bread and butter of the deck, 3 Caster. Remember, his effect affects the turn, so they can't negate it. It's really nice. 3 Kyrkion to, you know, get an extra normal summon when you have some Evilswarms in the grave. And still just the 1 Thunderbird. Never really felt the need to add any more monsters to this. I wish Evilswarm could spam a bunch more monsters, but if you add a bunch of side engines, it just doesn't do what I play this deck to do, which is be annoying and a piece of shit. So monsters is really simple. Going on to our spells, they also have only changed slightly. We're still playing 3 Allure because you want to get to those traps after you've set up an Ophion or some sort of annoying monster. It's just nice to get yourself that back row support. I went back to running Unexpected Die just because, you know, some people suggested in the comments, and I did have it in my older profiles, and now even going first, this card is just great because if you don't open Rabbit, but you just have an Evilswarm monster, you could Unexpected Die for the Heliotrope, then normal summon, and still get your Ophion off. And yeah, it's really nice. And if you open 2 of these and they Ash 1, you can just do it again, so it's great. Next, still 2 Infestation Pandemic. If you see my older videos, you know how I feel about 1 and 3 with this card, so sticking with 2 as long as Desires remains in this deck. Deck Lockdown is now in the main. This card is amazing. I've honestly almost put this to 3 because if you open Ophion in this, a lot of times it's annoying enough, and then any other traps you have to save yourself is great. If you don't know what this card does, it's a continuous spell. Neither player can add cards from their deck to their hand except by drawing them, so it's like I'm running Mistakes still. And monsters also cannot be special summoned from the main deck, so that extra little thing is nice, but it does get destroyed after its 2nd standby after activating, but usually it's enough to lock down their deck. 2 Desires still, because if you can get to Ophion and they haven't stopped you with any hand traps, so you can get your Infestation Pandemic out and you have Ophion in that. Desires is another nice way to get yourself to, you know, extra traps, but I've never been a 3 Desires person. Back when I could run, like, when I would run bigger decks, maybe, but for this, I still just love 2 Desires. It's enough for me. And then your 1-ofs. We do run the 1 Called By again, even though it's at 1. If you open this in Rabbit, you just feel really safe, and it can also be used offensively, so I still love the 1 Called By. 1 Rhoda, which just serves as your 4th copy of Caster in the deck, and I still main 1 Dimensional Fissure because it's a floodgate that affects a lot of decks nowadays. Many decks like to send stuff to the graveyard, and a lot of them can't deal with them if they're banished. Now for the traps, which is my personal favorite part of the deck. The only trap we're doing at 3 now is there can only be 1. I used to run a couple of the other traps in here at 3, but when I think of the most annoying traps in this deck, honestly, there can only be 1 paired with like a deck lockdown is one of the best combinations. All your Evilswarms happen to be different types from each other, so you can always still get to your Ophion and things while this is on the field. So this card is just amazing to be annoying, and it hinders most decks. Of course, you'll get those rare instances where it doesn't, but it's just nice. 2 Judgment and 2 Strike. Obviously, if you don't open the best, you still want to be a little stunny and defensive. And even if you do have your Ophion out and some other annoying stuff, having one of these next to all that is just even greater. I mean, Judgment helps you get rid of really powerful cards that you just can't afford to have on the field or being activated, and then Strike helps you against those pesky monsters that are low enough level with like pop effects to help get over your Ophion. So gotta have the Strike too. I used to run Warning instead, and I really like Warning still, but for this deck it needs more defense in terms of monsters. So we still also run 2 Impermanence. I used to main 3 Impermanence, but I just don't right now for the deck. But you could go to 3 Impermanence if you really want. You can maybe take out the D-Fissure or something else. Or maybe just run 3 Strike and take out the Judgments altogether for the those 2 slots, but I like impermanence in the main anyways, just like most decks do. Because we're running so much back row, I am maining 2 Starlight Road again. I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, it seems like everybody and their mother nowadays has Harpy Feather Dusters and Lightning Storms. Cosmic Cyclone has gotten a little bit less popular. Some people still do run it, but I haven't seen it very often, at least with the people I duel. So Starlight Road is just great because if you do open a full back row with an Ophion, or you get good draws, or it's mid game and you've been stunning them and just stacking traps, if they do open something to pop multiple cards, you can use Starlight Road and it could be annoying. And the last trap and the 40th card of the deck is Macrocosmos. Similar to the D-Fissure, it's just a really annoying floodgate that hinders a lot of decks. So if you were to switch anything up for other things that you like, you could, I guess, take out Macro and D-Fissure. If you're wondering why I don't run any hand traps in the main, it's because going first is your ultimate goal with this deck. You do not want to go second. You want to hope that at least one main monster in their deck is hindered by Ophion, and even if not, your traps are annoying enough to usually stun most decks in one way or another. Now for the extra deck. So first off, we have 3 Ophion. You don't need to run 3 Ophion. Honestly, it's a little overkill, and I will tell you a little side choice you can do at the end. But because he's the main bread and butter of the deck, I do run 3 Ophion. But you could definitely cut this, but I would at least keep him at 2. To finish off the Evilswarm Exceeds, we do run the 1 Bahamut. He is one of my favorite personally. He's a big eye without an attack restriction, so you can take really good monsters and still attack with him. Exciton Knight blows up the field. Obviously, it's really nice for an unprotected board. And then Evilswarm Nightwear I like a lot, even though links are a thing. If they're summoning a lot of regular monsters and effect monsters before they get to their links, or if it's even a deck that runs no links, his effect is not once per turn, and any special summon monster he can just flip face down. So twice in one turn, he can flip a couple monsters face down, and it can be really annoying. That's it for the Evilswarms. Next for the Exceeds, we do run 1 Utopia and 1 Lightning. Obviously, Ophion ain't that big, and if they do get a big monster out and you need to be able to just get over it, I still love going into Utopia the Lightning. Really simple, and I don't really feel the need to run double or nothing or any more of the Utopia package. I guess you could, honestly. It wouldn't hurt maybe taking out the Macrocosmos and trying that out and adding a couple more Utopia monsters into the extra, but I found that fine for now. 1 Dweller because it's Dweller, shuts down a lot of decks. Tornado Dragon because going first a lot, we don't main any spell and trap removal of our own. Castell, which I know is a little bit of a dated card, but there's still a lot of monsters that can't be destroyed. Of course, there are plenty of broken monsters that can't be destroyed and can't be targeted, but I still like him to get rid of cards sometimes. And then I am running Time Thief Redoer. This is obviously up to your preference. I just like to run a lot of different options. The main reason I run him is sometimes if I'm running a deck against a deck that Ophion doesn't hinder, it's nice to just go into something else that can kind of mess with their plays and just be a little bit of annoying. And I can make him backed up with some traps and floodgates, and it can be a little annoying. For the links, this is also something I found a little bit pointless. I do run 1 Borreload Dragon. Now, it's going to be pretty hard for you, being honest, to get that many monsters on board. It'll be more of a late game thing for you, or like having a good amount of monsters in hand. But it's just nice that if it ever comes up, you could go into this to get over an annoying monster. But I have thought about going purely Exceeds in this deck or running more other Exceeds that stack on Exceeds. Like, you definitely could run a Zeus in this deck possibly too if you wanted. Underclock Taker, kind of like Utopia to help us get over stuff. I know that's a super dated card also. And now with Master Rule 5, I actually do like Steel Swarm Origin, because if I put it in the extra monster zone, they're kind of technically restricted to only summoning 1 extra deck monster because it has to go to the zone it would go unless they put it in the other extra monster zone. So not necessarily 1, but you are kind of hindering them in one weird way. And so I actually like Steel Swarm Origin now, but it's been in testing, and so far it doesn't come up as often as you're just making Exceed monsters. Now, where I would switch up the extra deck if you wanted to, I would definitely maybe run a Stardust Dragon, because sometimes you're sitting on just back row, can't make Ophion, and you get a Starlight Road off, and it'd be nice to randomly summon a Stardust Dragon and be annoying. So that's one option that I do sometimes. And also you could definitely run more backup, more stackable Exceeds to get over if your Exceeds get negated, and then Zeus is definitely a good option if you can afford it. And now for the side, I'll showcase you a little bit of what I think it needs in case you are forced to go second. 2 Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere modes just to tribute a bunch of stuff, 2 Nibiru for the same reason, some going second cards for the deck, specifically Mandragora and Regeki, just in case, you know, get that extra summon and clear a board. For some more annoying traps for the side, I like 2 Crackdown, sometimes 3 but not always, and then a must-of that used to be in my main but is now finally in my side is 3 Anti-Spell. Anti-Spell is another card that I've debated on taking D-Fissure and Macrocosmos out to main 2 Anti-Spell again. Then I also run the 3rd deck Lockdown, and then if you are forced to go second, for the last 3 cards or the last couple cards of the side, I would just run probably Ashes. I wouldn't necessarily be too specific on what hand traps I'd run, but for this deck, for what it already does, I would probably only run Ash and Ghost Spell. I probably wouldn't run Veiler, and I probably wouldn't really run Droll Lock or anything like that. But that's up to you guys. Let me know how you like to be annoying with Evilswarm. Are you even still like me playing Evilswarm? Do you think this deck should finally just be put to rest for me? Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know how you would switch it up. We always love constructive criticism here at Yu-Gi-Oh! Boom. Your rogue channel duelist trying to get better every day. Bringing you budget options and shitty deck profiles one day at a time. Peace.